All right, all right. Hey, hey, welcome back, Capricorns. Here we go. All right, Cappies, let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to take a look at, because the telephone booth is behind me and that really stood out to me. I want to take a look at whomever it is that may want to send a message to Capricorn, whether this is, thought process or whether this is pick up the phone and call. This doesn't have to be romantic. This could be anybody, but I just want to see who is it that wants to say something to Capricorn. This could be a message from the other side. There could be a message from a loved one, someone who's on the other side, or it could come from a Scorpio. 10 of Pentacles. Okay, so we could have a couple different things. First off, we may have a gift that Capricorn will discover that they inherit. This could be somebody is wanting Capricorn to like really have a lot of wealth in their life. This could be an ancestor. This could be somebody that is gifting something Capricorn something quite significant, something that even if it's not of great monetary value, it could be something that just totally gives Capricorn wings. Just totally, it's like such a wonderful act of like support. Some things in our life have like different purposes. It inspires us, and that one small thing that we were inspired by, a family member gifts us some kind of like, we'll say a little brooch, but that brooch, that pen or pin pendant thing looks so beautiful that it inspires somebody to start becoming a jewelry maker, and then their jewelry becomes really, really, really famous. And it's like, wow, it all started out with an ancestor who left me some piece of jewelry. I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I can't help but notice this flower here up in our character's hair, and this just looks really lovely. It looks like we have a character who's got 9 of Pentacles. It is definitely like an ancestor wants to tell Capricorn, this is just for you, and this is going to be great, and this is something that you're supposed to have, and this is something that you've already got so much going for you. Capricorn, like, use that inner power. We need to shift over to a chakra deck, because this says like there is some incredible power, like being, maybe somebody is like inheriting like a spiritual gift or something as well. Maybe they're at an age bracket where they're like, learning about a family member who they've never even met. But Capricorn's like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting to find out that I have some skill or some talent that I inherited from, one side of my family. This could be somebody who's becoming a shaman, or becoming somebody where we see that like the energy kind of like surging upward. And I almost feel like this is the way, like Capricorn is meant for something quite big, and they're getting this message, receiving this download, this upload from an ancestor about this. We have the root chakra. The root chakra is, that baseline, but then we have the Ace of Cups. And so again, we see like this surge, but it's a really lovely surge of good energy, kind energy. This is, I don't know. Sometimes, we discover that we have latent talents that we never had time to like develop or pay attention to. And I almost feel like this could be serendipitous. Like all of a sudden, Capricorn starts to realize that they have this talent that they never put energy into, but it kind of like pops up seemingly out of nowhere. Only then do they track it back to like, oh, I had an ancestor that was also talented at this. And man, I love this. Man, where's this been my whole life? It just feels very nice, but also feels like something that could actually make our character money. And they might really love doing whatever this is. This feels more like, activity and something tangible, and less about like a love story to me. This feels like a message comes in from the ancestors. Let's get another, if I can reach. Big long reach. Let's get an ancestor deck here. Let's see what we got. I always think the sci-fi stories are some of the funnest. I always like those the most. So let's take a look. Message from the ancestors says, clear your mind, be present, focus, and embrace. We may have somebody who comes from like an island culture, an island lifestyle, or their ancestors, hail from a specific region in the world where they're really connected to the water, and they have like long, I'm thinking like oral traditions of storytelling and, talents that are passed down from generation to generation. We see this woman who's like weaving these reeds, or like sea grasses into things. We see like palm leaves are being used, to make, shelter and such. So all this just feels like, I don't know, maybe Capricorn's going to be either taking a trip somewhere, going to visit family, or taking a vacation somewhere, and it happens to be, part of their heritage that they hail from. And it's like, wow, I feel so like comfortable, and I feel so connected, and I feel like certain things are just naturally easy for me. Maybe it's picking up a language that, I never learned to speak, but it is technically my cultural heritage. And wow, this is actually really easy for me to pick this up. Or maybe cooking some of the dishes of this culture, or something like this, like a talent. The weaving skills are so incredible that, like some of the ancient cultural traditions that have been passed down through generations in different cultures. It's just remarkable and just beautiful. There's such incredible artists, in so many different cultures. But I'm almost wondering if Capricorn is starting to tap into something like that. We have Temperance. It keeps feeling like Capricorn is finding, let's say, not just a hidden talent, but also something that, again, could bring them great, like bounty, great financial success in their life, but also great happiness, great sense of peace in particular, and like a place where they feel like they belong, a place of purpose. We have, again, like a lot of different cultural references here. Somebody could hail from like Eastern Indian culture, perhaps a Middle Eastern culture, perhaps Taiwanese, perhaps South Pacific, maybe Vietnamese. Almost anywhere in the world, we see a lot of different cultural references. And I always think, we're all part of the same planet. No matter where in the world we may live, we all, inhabit the same planet. So we're always home. As long as we're on Earth, we're always home, no matter where we are. But I do love the fact that for this Capricorn, they perhaps are feeling that sense of like, oh, I do really feel like I belong. And it may just be because they are recognizing some of their talents or something, and just saying, wow, these are things that I'm naturally really good at. These are things that are giving me great peace. Man, I didn't know I was missing this before. I don't know if this is because it says clear your mind, focus, embrace, and be present. This could still represent like maybe Capricorn is developing like a spiritual gift that has been handed on to them, a gift of like healing, a gift of, oh gosh, I don't know, even maybe like being like a conduit or channeling energy or something like that. We have the Devil. There's Capricorn. And this is a very lusty card. But this is Capricorn right there in their greatest energy, feeling, I don't know, it just feels like there's a lot of peace coming into Capricorn's world, but it does feel like they're either taking a trip or they're connecting. They're definitely getting a message like from an ancestor, even if it's an ancestor they've never met. And it is about like, this Capricorn is going to do very well. They're really stepping into their own. They're really stepping into their own power. They're really stepping into basically something that they are meant to do, something they are naturally very good at, something that they are naturally like probably going to find great peace in. We have the Death card sideways. We have the Nine of Cups sideways, and we have the Chariot in the reverse. It's interesting because this actually says Capricorn doesn't have to go anywhere. They already have this within. They don't actually have to do anything. They just have to embrace it, which means they have to let some old version of themselves that was like maybe keeping them in check. Maybe this is a character who never like fully embraced something about their own natural talents. Maybe this is a character who was like, oh, I'm not allowed to do X, Y, or Z, even if, secretly I like it, because, it's, I don't know, that's a throwback to, that's not part of the modern day culture. And it's like, this is a Capricorn. I think everybody does well with, holding on to, that the stories of our ancestors and, cultural things that, like, we never want to lose that. That's, beautiful pieces of our history. But it just almost feels like Capricorn needed to, like, fully embrace something about their past that actually really makes them happy, and, like, integrate that right into their present world, like update, modernize stuff that has been a part of their culture, or modernize things, natural talents like this. Like, maybe they discover that they come from a long line of, like, natural healers. Maybe there's some kind of, like, meditative type of practice, like, some cultures, they make mandalas. Maybe this is something about, basket weaving or something along those lines, and it's also part of, like, a meditative practice or something. I don't even know if that exists, by the way. I'm just going off of what we see on the cards, and it's like, maybe, or like, I'm picturing somebody who, like, knits or does, macrame or does something like that, and it's like, I've always loved doing it. It's not something everybody does anymore, but now I'm recognizing it is something that I should revive. It's something that I should teach classes in. It's something that is soothing for me, and it's something that has cultural relevance and maybe part of, like, a healing, shamanistic type of, practice. And I'm realizing I totally want to step into that and absorb that. Whatever this is for Capricorn, I'm just throwing out, concepts that we see in the cards here. Not saying that's actually what it is. It just keeps showing up again and again that Capricorn is, like, loving their life, feeling very connected to, like, everything around them now, their whole world. This is what they've been missing, but it's also like Capricorn is identified. Maybe this is what everybody is missing, is, like, that greater sense of, like, peace and purpose and connectedness to like whatever one's inner purpose is. It feels like Capricorn could become quite the teacher, like spiritual teacher in this storyline. But it's very interesting. I didn't know what kind of messages would come through. I had assumed it would probably be romance messages, and this is so different. Now, could I have read it differently and said, let's say it's a Capricorn, or excuse me, a Scorpio who is wanting to send a message? Yes. And I could have said then they would be sending a message. Say this is about romance. It would be sorry, did I say it wrong again? A Scorpio wanting to send a message to a Capricorn. If it were about love, it would be someone who's saying, I really want to, like, build something. I'm now stable. I have something real to offer. I have love to offer now. I have something amazing to offer. I want to be at peace and at harmony. They could also be a Sagittarius. They could be somebody who's very passionate about Capricorn. They could be somebody who's like, I don't want to roam anymore. I just want to be home. And you'll see how different it is. Will you please give me another chance? I could read this story in that way as well. It just, I don't know, it had such a much stronger vibe of something that was like awakening in a Capricorn. So this could be romance or this could be spiritual. And we're going to leave the story like that because I don't know. This is like a 51-49 for me on how I would tell this story. So either way, I think it's lovely because there's, like, awakenings. Either way we look at this, totally different energy coming in, better energy, more beautiful, more positive, more soothing, more healing. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.